Alrighty. I see that Mabasai. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Hold on here. I need to give you the link. God, I hate this headset. I bet you guys are hearing every breath I take and every move that I make with this fucking headset. Really, in the fucking snowball was no different. Okay, Mabasai, I just sent you the link in the private message. Well, all right. Shit. Well, everybody, I hope that I trust that everyone can hear me at this point. I have to say that I am really heartened. I can hear your heartbeat. Thank you, Elm City. I can hear your brain thinking. Man, the way this week went, Elm City, my brain should sound like a bunch of rusty fucking gears. I keep forgetting that this time of the year, at these quarterly, if you will, periods at my job is what keeps me extremely busy. So much so that but I fought as hard as I could to put out that last video, even though I felt weird about it because I felt it was almost outdated. But the good news is that that video was more of an analysis, if anything, about how what I felt about the events. Because as it turns out, that weekend when shit was popping off the way it was, my wife and I just wanted to have a little bit more, uh, what you want to call some focus time together because this is that last weekend was pretty much the last weekend that we were going to have to be able to be together for the most part because our youngest daughter is coming back from camp this weekend, and you know, pretty much is always it's just going to be our regular schedule from here on out. Well, it's not going to be our real regular schedule until school starts, but anyway. So it was pretty much it was a real struggle, to be honest with you, us trying to enjoy a weekend when we knew that the tragedies in Charlottesville was happening. We were just sitting there, just constantly looking at news feeds on one end, and then trying to be boyfriend and girlfriend on the other. All right, y'all. So enough of the small talk. I gave Mabasai a link. So if he wants to join in, he can. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start off with a couple of the main points that I want to talk about, because I actually have more things that I'd rather talk about than whether or not the issue about free speech for rightists who are really believers of oppression. And that's really the case here. Now, here's the thing. If you are a conservative, let's just say you believe in God and you don't like public school and you don't want to pay your taxes and for public school and what else? You kind of want urban decay is a good thing in your mind, and you just want all those who live in urban decay to not have anything to do with you or your precious tax bracket neighborhood that you live in. Like your free speech, I could care less about because for the nine times out of 10, you people are often under a delusion that that all of society is runs on you, that you are the ones that make society work. No, you're not. But anyway, your free speech, I'm not concerned about. See, it's the people that you guys follow. It's the people that you guys are often dupes and morons and idiots. Like this one YouTuber by the name of Patriotic Nurse. I won't be providing any kind of links to her channel, but this woman literally made a video saying that she did not feel bad for the injured and most importantly, the life that was lost this past Saturday. And she can call herself a conservative all she wants, but you got to understand, just as they love to say that liberals are somehow useful idiots of the Marxists, which is a complete lie, which is nothing could be further from the truth. I'm pretty sure, and it would be unfair to say most conservatives are the useful idiots of fascists, but let's face it, most fascist doctrine and values is exactly what most conservatives believe in. The only difference is that you've got conservatives of color and you've got women who are conservatives and you've got even LGBT people who are conservatives. And the only difference there is that with them, they are under the delusion that if they prove themselves, and usually they don't have any way of proving themselves. If you notice, no conservative of color, for instance, is a head or is a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. None of them actually even have a real business enterprise of any kind. They certainly aren't leaders of any kind. And yet somehow, they feel like they can prove themselves. The only time they're able to prove themselves is by acting like mouthpieces for the reactionary right and sucking up to them. But it's the actual fascists and reactionaries, okay? People who want to go back to the way things were. Well, what were things like a long time ago? Well, we all know who was not only head of the household, but we all know who was head of society, right? It was mostly all white males. That's the reality. That's the truth. It's a historical fact. These guys that marched through the University of Virginia campus, that's what they believe in. That's what they want to bring back. They are under the lie and delusion that they are no longer in charge, which is complete and utter bullshit. Feminists, even the white ones, would not be complaining or we would not be talking about a glass ceiling if it weren't true. Okay. That white males have lost power in society. If it were true that white males have lost power in society. So that's what these guys want. Okay. That's what they want to go back to. And when you talk about people who want a system of oppression, when you talk about people who want um, really the use of violence to keep people down, okay, that was the constant state for Black people, by the way. um, After slavery. They were constantly terrorized, which answers to, and this is an idea that I've been cooking in my brain for a video, explaining why Black people are indeed uh, often living in urban centers, why they don't really live in uh, the country all that much, and why did they migrate to the South to begin with? It's because they were under constant threat of terrorism that was rampant, terrorism that was looked the other way by sheriffs because those sheriffs supported that level of terrorism, and mayors and governors, constables, whatever, what have you, right? So You're saying that you want people like this to have a right to free speech? Well, here's the thing. They can make all the pamphlets they want. They can have all the secret meetings that they want. They can do whatever the fuck they want. But understand that we have the right to make sure that they have no public platform or forum. I have really close friends to me, people who I respect a great deal, people who have put their bodies on the line for, at KKK rallies, things like that. And these people are not the same color of skin or ethnicity that I am. And guess what? They agree wholeheartedly that the KKK, the skinheads, the fascists have no right to public platform because what they stand for is not simply a matter of opinion. What they stand for is a system of oppression. And that system has proven throughout history over and over again that it is dangerous, that it kills people, and it kills people on a systematic level. So, no, they do not have a right to free speech. And you can argue it to the cows come home. You can debate it all you want. I won't listen to you. And no, I'm not of this position because of this weekend. I've been of this position since 1989. Okay. So, that's the deal. So that's all I really got to say. It's really simple in terms of this issue about repression of the right. Now, what I will want to do at this point is reflect on. Hold on for a second. Okay. What I really want to do at this point is reflect on some things, is to share my reflections on the things that I've seen people are saying or doing since Charlottesville. One, number one, is it is hilarious to me to see a lot of these guys, these people who they claim that they're not alt-right. They love to keep saying that they're not alt-right, they're not alt-right. But all these Kekistani types, all of these the anti-feminists, the red pillar types, the Manispherians. Curious is here. What's up, Curious? Yay, girl, I miss you so much. I am seeing white people, angry black people are tearing down statues. Yep. Curious says, in light of a terrorist attack. Exactly. These are one of the things I want to touch on. But these guys are basically now at this point trying to say, well, what you saw in Charlottesville never would have happened if so many people attacked us to begin with. If you keep calling people Nazis, they're going to become Nazis. Shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me? You were a Nazi the moment that you felt, I shouldn't really say Nazi, but come on, you were an extreme right, racist, sexist piece of shit. The moment that you knew and understood that, thank God you weren't born black, you weren't born a woman, you weren't born Latino, you weren't born poor. You see what I'm saying? As soon as you saw these things and you were glad of that, but at the same time, you felt that everyone else should have just been like you and, uh, you know, they're shit because they're not like you. That's what you were. Nobody didn't need to call you those things in order for you to be those things. Um, Someone like Fields, the pig who drove into that crowd, he did not become what he became because people kept calling him that. He chose to do that. And some of you may have wondered about the video. the video that I was working on in the little time that I had after our weekend. And you're probably saying, why is he talking about legislation about so people can drive, do hit and runs on protesters and all of that stuff? Yeah, I know that stuff seemed far fetched, and obviously it never made it to law. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that people on the right have been talking about this for quite some time. And I wanted to show that this guy who murdered Miss Hare, this fucking guy is part, he did what he did. I feel that I feel that he definitely did it on purpose. This is not just some random crime of passion. He did this based on what they've been talking about for a very long time, and finally he was able to do it. Now, maybe it wasn't premeditated, but I do know this. If you talk about something you want to do, and you talk even to yourself and you say it over and over and over again, at some point you actually just fucking do it. Whatever, man. Like the opportunity just presents itself. So I don't look at this guy as some nut. I don't think he was a wing nut. I don't think that he was unhinged in any way more than, say, Richard Spencer. I think that he did what he did and he felt that he was justified in doing it. I mean, there's nothing accidental about what happened there. At the speed that he went, no way. So that's the reason why I brought up all that stuff in the earlier part of the video about people wanting to do hit and runs and shit like that. Another thing that has bothered me, and I'm going to go into the comments in the chat room in a little bit. Another thing that's bothered me are really a lot of the black males on YouTube who happen to be of the Negro manosphere and uh, these guys, people like Sean James. I heard that Obsidian made a video. I didn't watch it because I don't even go to his channel anymore, and I never will at this point. But a lot of these dudes are doing this sort of weird mental acrobatics. These black men, because you got to understand, they've been attacking liberals, SJWs, the left, feminists, everything for a very long time. And they didn't mind actually being aligned with the so-called Kekastanis. They didn't mind being aligned with even the extreme right and conservatives. They didn't mind all that stuff until when these guys begin to show their face, then they start to do again more mental acrobatics. And in the case of people like Sean James, they want to say that, well, these extreme guys are doing this because the SJWs have brought this out of them. Again, it's this blame on those of us who fight for our rights, those of us who have been trying to expose these guys for so long. And they're basically trying to say now that it's our fault. It's totally our fault that the violence at Charlottesville happened. Um, if you guys remember, I even did a video where I made fun of Felfop. Felfop expressed this, and if you don't know who he is, Felfop is definitely an MRA. And he expressed this sentiment a long time ago as well, that the reason why we got Trump as president was because of feminists. It was because feminism. It was because SJWs. So anyway, let me go into the comments section. Sorry, not the comments, the chat. Curious says she misses me too. You know I do. Curious says, Bewildered Ape says, we can say that they are alt-right because they're part of the same movement, right? Curious says, all right. Curious says, psychology has debunked that kind of point of view. Elm City says, I think feeding into the protest is feeding them, going there to fight and argue. I have here's my take on that, Elm City. The thing is that those guys were there anyway. If the counter protesters could have not shown up at all, and that rally was going to happen. They created that rally, one, because they feel that taking down Confederate Confederate generals now. These are guys who rebelled against the U.S. government, which is fine. I don't give a shit about people rebelling against the U.S. government. But understand, they wanted to rebel the U.S. government because what they really wanted more than anything else was for the South to succeed. That was really what it was all about. The U.S. government did not care. Lincoln didn't really care, really, about the slaves being free necessarily. The Civil War wasn't really fought to free us. The Civil War was fought because they did not want the South to succeed. You got to understand the you know the food, everything. Pretty much, the South was uh, provided this country's main staples and cotton and every other thing. These guys wanted to succeed and be able to have all that profit for themselves. Was the thing. Now, am I glad that the Civil War was fought and whatever? Yeah, but I mean that really isn't the truth. I need to provide the links to that to give you guys some clarity on that, because I know I'm just saying this and just saying it. No, it's not an opinion. The thing is that, and I gotta, if anything, I have to provide the link to the quote of Lincoln himself saying that if, oh God, what was it that he said about if slavery wasn't just the issue? I'm sorry, it was, but anyway, the point here is that his point as president of the United States was that he needed to unite the country. So anyway, the point here is that, what was my point? Was that these guys are upset because statues are coming down, and they see it as being symbolic of replacing them as white males. And that's what that rally was about. So they weren't doing that shit because counter protest came. You got to do a protest in order for counter protest to even come. So, you can't blame the counter protesters for what these guys had already planned to do. That was a long-winded answer, by the way. Bewildered 8. Anyone who makes a political cause out of free speech is open democratic society probably only has something really stupid to say. Okay, that's true. The Curious says the ruling class doesn't respond to us. Typing on Facebook the way they respond to us storming their streets. Curious, haha, bewildered 8. What I don't understand is the crying about free speech when no one is stopping these people. They just get angry when the left utilizes their free speech as well. Elm City says, I don't believe in typing on no social media either, but arguing is fueling them. Man, oh, hey, what's up, man, cheese? Curious says, oh my God, man, cheese girl. Okay, cool. Wow, I love that. Angry Bastard said, you said very rich right-wing black men are not high in power, but Ben Carson and Herman Cain can be the exception. Oh no, I'm not saying that they're an exception. They are high in power, but they represent Angry Bastards, a small minority amongst most black conservatives. Most black conservatives aren't in power. They're like, normally they're mostly middle class folks, and surprisingly, a lot of them are poor too. But I don't think they're an exception. Curious says that Ben Carson is in no way in high power. Well, that's true. I mean, he's high in prominence, and he is just a surgeon. He's not a CEO. He doesn't have any real control over resources. Mabase, hey Mabase, I sent you the link. Babasi says, angry note, both of those guys are pretty subordinate in the social hierarchy when you zoom it back. Very true. Big J triple set, man. Big J triple X says, man, cheese, you are. Oh, wait, what happened here? I scrolled up too far. Yes, I did. Uh, Give me a second. Wow, damn, how far did I go back? Sorry, guys. But I just wanted to.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mabase, is that you?
Yep.
Yeah, it is you. What's up?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much.
um, it's crazy. I know that I sub to you because normally I sub to people who sub to me, whether they have content or not. And then I noticed that maybe the first time I looked and I was seeing mostly gaming stuff. And then next thing you know, I turned around and I'm like, holy shit. like now you're talking political stuff. I even saw that you had a back and forth with Kazoom.
Yeah, yeah. He's a decent guy. Pretty politically illiterate in the grand scheme of things. Like he has a really Americanized view of what composes left and right. But he at his heart he's a pretty swell guy.
I like Kazoom. I try to look at most of his videos, but I know some of the things that he does, and so I see what you're saying. I'm kind of there in the same place what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Hold on, I just want to go back before I want to get your take on things, but I kind of missed out on some of these comments. Just give me a second. Um, all right. Okay, so Bewildered Ape says it was premeditated. These guys always fantasize about killing people and show that they are prepared for war. Uh, then Curious says, thank God. Mabasi says, but yes, Bewildered Ape. Yep, remember that Pierce Peace. Sorry, Vice Peace. They came there saying that they were expecting war and they were ready to kill these people. Holy shit! Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that Vice piece.
Yeah, they was like was like what? We're not nonviolent. He's like I bought all these guns. I go to the gym every week, and we've got all these people. Like we're not nonviolent. I'm not incapable of violence. I'm trying to become more capable of violence. Shit, we'll kill these people if we have to.
Yeah, yeah. Let's not make any mistake. And Richard Spencer loves to play up this whole thing about, oh well, the neo Nazis hate me. Well, the dumber ones, the rednecks hate him because he's being more savvy. They still haven't gotten his game just yet, but they're definitely about violence as much as they are trying to be as savvy as possible. And I haven't seen the Vice piece. I'll definitely want to check that out. But these guys are not joking around. And that's sort of like kind of the flack. I don't really want to keep making a big deal about how liberals see the way the left are seeing have been taking this seriously. And it's not even recent. We've always taken it seriously. But either the numbers dwindle at times and we don't take prominence, and other things is that we haven't really been in social media for years, and now there hasn't really been a huge presence in the streets like there is now. But the thing is that we've always taken these people deathly serious. When I was younger, I went to a lot of anti-Klan rallies and marches, and and neo-Nazi and all of that stuff, those kinds of actions. And we've been there many times, and we were always outnumbered, always. And it's funny how whenever shit pops off in those rallies, it was always us getting arrested and never them. You know? So anyway. So what is on your mind, Mabasi? Like, how do you see all of this? Okay. Well, maybe he is offline. I'm not sure. Or maybe he's muted. I'm not sure. Hold on. I hope I didn't mute him.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, that I think it's essentially this is always gonna happen under capitalism, regardless. Like you're gonna get some kind of fascist bullshit, right? Like we even now there's like people who are a part of their shit who are also black, who are also disenfranchised and looking for oppression and all to enforce on other people so that they can gain prominence. It's the exact same thing as now we just have computers, so it spreads even faster, which is really, really scary. I just wish the people who enable them would stop doing it, or at least own that they're doing it. Like it's really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. Oh, Angry Bastards is back. Yay. Sargon of Akkad said recently he was considering running for public office. Oh God. Um I'm not surprised by that actually.
Wait,
Uh,
you say what?
yeah, Angry Bastards was telling us that Sargon has said recently that he's considering running for public office. You know what? I'm going to post the link in the chat room. Anyone wants to jump in at this point? But yeah, yeah. Says he wants to run for office. I didn't hear that. I don't know about that, but I'm not surprised. He's such a fucking attention-seeking piece of shit. Like he'll do anything to get people to hear what he has to say. He
Yeah,
when
honestly, I don't think that it would really work out for him because most people in the UK absolutely fucking hate uh like the EDL and Tories and shit like that, and those are things
yeah.
he's either endorsed or have endorsed him. So I don't think it would really go over too well.
But yeah, yeah, I would probably agree. But damn, I mean, I don't know. British politics. I mean, I think now I was really surprised by the win recently of I'm forgetting his name now. You know who I'm talking about. Labor.
Corbyn.
I was really surprised by his win recently, but I mean, I was really worried about the UK for a while, man. They were really seeming to go over steep into the right for quite some time.
Yeah, that's the power of Daddy Corbyn. I don't know how he did it. They said that he loved terrorists, all that shit, and he still did it.
Yeah, I know, right? So that kind of gives, so I think it's a pretty good thing. Manchi says there was a good interview with the guy who wrote the Antifa handbook on Democracy Now. Yeah, I was actually going to mirror Stimulator's latest video that goes into the whole issue of free speech, supposedly. I'm sorry, of free speech for fascists. And the guy's response in the video was great. I would mess it up if I tried to repeat it right now. I'm just not in the mindset for that. But I'm going to mirror the video first thing in the morning before I begin my hellacious day at work. Big J Triple S says Mancheese. He's still arguing with Mancheese. Curious is shaking her head. Okay, they're going into a different tangent. But yeah, Mancheese, you're right. I missed that interview on Democracy Now, but I saw the one excerpt from it that the Stimulator channel had posted. So I'm gonna mirror that video first thing in the morning. Uh, yeah, but yeah, Sargon is a Curious?
Hi!
Oh my God. I missed you so much.
I
It's not
missed
even
you too.
man. So I mean, I'm gonna tell you, man, I have to say, man, this past weekend, it's funny. It's like when you think you can't be shocked by the right, and especially the alt-right, they have a tendency of shocking you anyway. I mean, because I really hate, like most people on the left, they love to posture and act like they've seen everything and are not surprised or shocked. But I gotta say, man, oh God, like the total utter viciousness of that car driving through the people. And I'm speaking now as a father. Like I know that it's important that we see what these people are capable of doing, but I couldn't begin to imagine what it must be like as the parents of um of hair to have to see that every day because it's so viral. I mean, although I'm pretty sure YouTube is gonna the scanners are gonna do everything they can to flag down or to shut down the more raw, the more raw footage.
And you know what
Although,
that means, right? That means that they're trying to whitewash in some ways. I'm hearing about the left being censored.
really,
Yeah, I'm hearing about censorship on online regarding Google. So if anything gets turned down, I'm thinking, or taken down, I'm thinking it's going to be videos that really expose these people for who they are. Videos that people really do need to see.
right. Well, I personally didn't want to throw the footage in my videos, and it wasn't a morals thing. It was just simply I just felt like one, I didn't want the video to get flagged down because I know that anyone the right would want to try to flag it, and they would just say, "Oh, this is too violent," and blah blah blah. But the other issue was that I didn't want to sort of keep pornographizing that particular thing. I might show the car itself. I might show before what the car had done, but I would just
Mhm.
leave it at that. I don't have a problem, however, with people circulating it because I tell you, it is important to see it at least once to understand how far these motherfuckers are going at this point. And
Exactly.
I know that that's the other thing that I want to bring up. Is that what I know that we're going to see from a lot of these guys soon, or even some of I wouldn't say people who are sympathizing for them. I would definitely say those who are against them. But the thing that I want to warn everybody about is please don't like buy into the whole if you protest against these guys that it's just going to beget more violence. These dudes, let me put it to you this way.
Do you
Was
guys that? Mhm.
Antifa around when um God damn it. I was just thinking about the boy who shot up the church. What was his name again?
I can't. Oh, I can't remember. Oh, Dilly Roof. Dilly
Yeah,
Roof.
Dylan Roof.
They
Was
call me Dilly
Antifa
Roof on here, so that's why I remember him.
was Dylan Roof was Antifa around when Dylan Roof did what he did? Or what about Timothy McVeigh? My point here is that these dudes, these motherfuckers have always existed, and they will always go and do the shit that they do whenever they decide to do it. And none of this is the end result of social justice warriors. And they're going to keep arguing that point over and over again. Well, this thing that happened in Charlottesville never would have happened if it wasn't for Antifa. Are you fucking kidding me? Antifa doesn't even do anything close to the equivalent of that. Mostly the work that they do work, and I do consider it work, is blocking things, blocking areas where people like Richard Spencer cannot speak or make platform. Now, yes, it doesn't just mean peacefully blocking. No, it doesn't. I'm not going to whitewash that. But the point here is that if you knew that Hitler himself were, and I said this in past videos, If you knew what you knew about him and you had a way of stopping him before he would say or do any of the shit he would say or do, you would do something about it. You would stop it. You would stop him. You would not give him a platform, because when they give a platform, what do? They recruit, they inspire, and they grow. Now, no one bats an eyelash when the state has done things such as, I don't know, make conspiracies to kill Malcolm X, or do things like smash labor movements. I mean, there is a whole documented history where the state has done things. They have repressed striking coal miners. I mean, everything you could think of, the state has done these things. And no one bats an eyelash when it comes to the freedom of protest, when it comes to the freedom of organizing. But we want to sit and blubber over, fascists who want to speak out. Well, the fascists, in the end of the day, cause harm, and they speak out to grow. That's the point here. So that's all I'm trying to say. Wait, did somebody get muted?
I don't think so. I think
I muted myself. Can you hear background noise on my end?
No, I don't.
You don't hear anything at all?
Oh, I hear a little bit, like a little ghosting.
Is it bad?
Sound. It's not really bad.
Okay, because I was out shopping at a store when I got an alert that you were on, and and so I stopped at a cafe next door, and I didn't want you guys to hear all of this. Mancheesy said something in the chat that I think should be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
She said that the left right now is really blind to class analysis.
Yeah.
At this point. And
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's concerning to me that people are still fighting racism in 2017 in this way. I think that without financial power, we wouldn't really have to worry about sexism and sexism and racism the way that we do now, because they would not have the power to oppress different groups in these ways.
So, just for clarification, maybe I'm just not following you. Are you saying that? What are you saying?
Well, what I'm saying is, I think that right now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be marching and taking these statues down. It does need to happen. But at what point are we going to address class? Because this is a battle we've been fighting since how many years for Black people? We've been taking.
Well, I agree.
The financial sector in terms of just removing these structures of power so that people aren't above people. And I think that if it were maybe addressed as class warfare, not class warfare, if it were labeled differently other than just race, I think people would probably follow it more, because I think that people are just going to be racist for a long, long time. I really do. And sexist for a long time too. But if they saw, oh, look, we're just fighting for poor people, they might do something different.
Well, okay. So then, yes, 100%. I do agree with you saying. Yeah, I get you now. Because class covers a lot of different groups altogether anyway.
Yeah.
You are correct. I think that what we have to do, however, is because just as we know that class covers race, it covers gender, it covers all these other different things, and people with disabilities, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all comprise class. But I think that the thing to do is that we have to approach it holistically. In other words, I don't want one thing to be exchanged or ignored for something else. I do think that. So I agree with Manchee's, as always with Manchee's. Her analysis is correct. There is a huge disconnect among the left when it comes to class. And I think that especially when it comes to liberals, because I mean, let's look at the fact that if it wasn't for the the centrists of the Democratic Party's arrogance and their complete dismissal of class to begin with, let's be honest, Trump would not have made it to the White House. That really is the truth. And I know that there were black people in the Rust Belt and who were not necessarily black conservatives or any of these idiots from the
people like LA.
People from the Negro Manosphere, but a lot of these people who were poor just felt like he might do something. He might help us because we don't really care about all this other shit he's talking about, but he might help us with jobs because he's saying that where everyone else isn't.
Exactly.
And so you're right. Class is a huge piece in all of this, and it always has been. Menchie says, yep, this is a class issue, but racism doesn't care about class issues. Very true.
I would feel a lot better about racism if I didn't have somebody who was in a position to take away my money, right? I mean, I don't think that we're fighting because we really care if this white person over here doesn't like me. I think we're concerned because these people have the power to say, your kid doesn't eat, your kid doesn't go to college, your daughter is going to get paid 50% less.
Right.
And so these people they're going to go back and forth forever on, well, I think a woman should stay home and this, that, and the other, where in reality, these issues, they wouldn't even have a say if it weren't for these class-based issues.
Right. Right. I agree. So right now, I do know that I think that we need to start to bring now one of the things that New Possibilities have brought up that I thought was really, really important, and I certainly wasn't thinking about it, was what are we supposed to do at this point? Like, what should we be doing to move forward? Charlottesville happened, yes. It might be the next day, it might be another year, it might be another 5 years before something else atrocious like this happens. In the meantime, we know that these guys, as much as it seems like they're taking a hit, as much as they seem like they're embarrassed by what happened or fearful, we have this wonderful video that's gone viral of I believe his name is Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska is the one who was crying about he wants milk because he wants milk in his eyes because he got maced in his eyes directly by one of these cops. But you've got this other guy, I'm forgetting his name, but he did appear in the Vice. I think he appeared in the Vice piece.
Christopher Cantwell.
That's him. The viral video is going around of him crying. Hey, I know that the police are looking for me. And this is what's so funny. Oh, okay, I'll get to that later. But so he's saying this and he's saying but at the same time, he's basically trying to threaten that, look, I've got weapons, I've got a gun. So the police had better not tread on me, but I will, as long as I know that you really are the police, I'll come turn myself in because I know you guys have a warrant out for me. Whatever. My point here is that it may seem like these guys are going to go away after this. No. Every time one of them goes out and commits an act of violence and terror, they might go slink back into the darkness for a little bit, but that's only to regroup. Same thing with Timothy McVeigh. We know that over the years, whenever they commit acts like this, these guys will, make martyrs out of these dudes that do shit, and then they kind of regroup and come back bigger and stronger than ever. Now, and that's the fear. That's the thing that we need to watch out for. So what I'm saying here is that they're not going to go away. What happened is not going to be something that they feel bad about. I mean, like I said, you've got this so-called moderate conservative, although I don't consider her one, this so-called patriot nurse, a YouTuber, who basically said herself she doesn't care about what happened there. She doesn't feel bad about what happened there, and that's how she feels. So, I mean, the thing about someone like her is, and others who I'm pretty sure they feel the same way, this is not going to stop their continuum of what happened. You know, they might feel bad. They might feel scared that the police have reacted in a way that they weren't expecting. And believe me when I tell you, the only reason why the police finally wanted to break up the entire rally to begin with, and the reason why people like Baked Alaska got maced, this is just my opinion, my conjecture rather, is that the reason why was because the governor saw what happened, was embarrassed by it, and said, you motherfuckers need the police. You motherfuckers need to get out there and do your jobs, break this shit up, and end it. Because that's usually the ultimate answer to anything when anything like this ever happens, is let's get the people off the streets. And even if that means targeting the organizers, fine. Yes, the left has always said that there's been a synergy between law enforcement, government, and the white supremacists. But the thing is that even they have to be pushed at some point to just reenact order and just put order out in the streets and just end shit. And that's pretty much what they do. It doesn't mean that the synergy that existed there was never a real thing. Going back to the chat room, Manchi says, in what way would they struggle? If you give one of these white rage dudes a job with any power, they'll make sure those he's racist against and sexist against gets nowhere. Very true. Manchi also says, yeah, they would survive. It would be a bit harder, but they will survive. I mean, we got rich white dudes in power deciding who gets what. Guess what? Other white dudes are promoted and paid more. It says, look at the Queen of England. She is a woman in power. Yeah. So, wow, goddamn, this hour has gone by that fast almost, man. It's like 1:25. I know I started a little late, so I'm going to end a little late. So we'll probably end this around 11:40. But unfortunately, I have a very early morning. I literally have to be into work 2 hours before I normally clock in, just to catch up on my bullshit. Anyway, so I'm hoping to go back to New Possibilities. What he was saying about, he was saying in his hangout on Monday that he would like to see more Black people becoming active in doing something. It's one thing when we're reactive, it's another thing when we're active. And I have to say that looking at the efforts of Antifa, I mean, we see already that there's an organization called Black Women's Defense League. I think that although they definitely have a different agenda somewhat, it has nothing to do with being anti-fascist, but respectable enough. But I'm saying that at this point, what way forward should we be what way forward should we go? Because obviously these guys aren't going anywhere. And we need to not think that what happened and their embarrassment of this is a signal that they'll go away, because they're not going to go away. I do think that, and just as Manchi said in the chat room earlier, feminism needs to be dangerous again. I think the left needs to be dangerous again. I think Antifa is sort of leading the way for that. So, and it doesn't have to just be Antifa. We should be looking at a new level of militancy from all the different groups that are oppressed in society. And we really need to come together as well and be in unification. I thought it was very touching, I think, when New Possibilities talked about white allies and them when they put their bodies on the line. We know that black people have always done it historically, and we know that white people have always done it historically. I mean, John Brown died because when he didn't have to, he believed that slavery was wrong. Yes, he was religious. None of that shit is relevant in my eyes. It was about what he was willing to stand up for. So the point here is that this shit is real, and we need to make it as real as possible. We don't need for it to just be Antifa. We don't need for it to just be Black Lives Matter. I would even propose that we need to really think about yet another movement or another political tendency that will be out front and in and out of line in dealing with everything that we're dealing with right now. Because the alt-right, the extreme right, whatever you want to call them, they have a voice in the White House. If you have a voice in the White House, that means you got the fucking cops on your side. You got everything on your side. And we can't have this going on forever. Even if Trump resigned tomorrow, this is going to set up a continuity for them. And we have to stop them. Curious says, Manchis, wouldn't they struggle to enforce their sexism and racism? Racism is a battle blacks have been fighting publicly forever, and the public is still acting like it's not a reality. I just wonder if racism and sexism could survive without classism. What do you think? Manchi says, in what way would they struggle? If you give one of these white rage dudes a job, oh wait, holy shit, did I go up? Because I know she said all this before. Sorry, y'all. Okay, going back. Curious. Manchis, I agree with you. Manchis, hi. Yeah, the Republican tranny. The votes. Okay. Votes for other white dudes. Curious as well. And look at Omarosa, a black woman who is a chair for Trump. And Manchi says, see, that's sad as hell to me. I get that she wants to go somewhere in life and support herself, but damn. Yeah, I know. That's usually the irony of when people of color, minorities, side up with oppressive people. But I don't concentrate on those people that much. Matter of fact, what's an easy out for me is just seeing them as just as bad and just as dangerous as those who we want to target. Manchi says, I think you lose more in the long run if you sell out of your principles. True. And Curious says, we have to acknowledge these people exist. We have black people and white women who identify with racism and sexism and see it as a positive thing. Yeah, the first person who comes to my mind would be people like, what's her name? Shuan Head. And I really love Jenny McDermott's, or rather, Jenny Kiss's latest video. The piece that I love so much about that was at some point in the video, she basically took some black guy, shoe on head, Blair White, Armored Skeptic, all these people who basically represent minorities who the right hates, just absolutely hates. But who these people defend the right, no matter what, and seek alliances with them. That was a very powerful part of the video. I thought that was great. I love the fact that she tied them in with the alt-right and ultimately with the fascists and the Nazis, the neo-Nazis. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a misstep. I don't think it's being off base. It's very real. Some black guy literally made a video where he, that's his name on YouTube, literally made a video where he said, punching Nazis in the face is still a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even after we saw what we saw, even after this young woman lost her life, and I'm forgetting DeAndre Harris. Even after DeAndre Harris was jumped on by 6 people on that same day with poles and beaten, his head split open. This guy is making a video saying, is it wrong to punch Nazis in the face?
Well, people have
Abso-fucking-lutely.
internalized
It's not wrong.
racism and they have internalized sexism. But I think that these people genuinely believe, even if they were educated, because I've talked to some of these people, they really do believe like these things are okay.
Yeah, I know. It's really fucking sad.
I think we have to acknowledge that there are a lot of black people who I think are Republicans. They might not say it openly, they may not have the right language, but it's very clear. They're super religious. They're not here for women's rights. And then there are these women that I'm seeing, white women who are joining the white supremacist movement. And they're very anti-feminist.
Yeah.
I think that this is another reason why I would like to address class at this point, because these people, they feel like, oh, well, you're taking something away from me if you fight sexism and if you fight racism, right? They feel like we're the people that are harming them, right? So, and I'm sick of seeing these debates back and forth about things like, well, did this person deserve to die because they wore this wrong, they wore their pants sagging, between black people. And I'm sick of hearing, between women, well, she shouldn't have worn that or else she wouldn't have been sexually assaulted, right? I'm tired of it. And I think that I hope that the next movement will be one based on class, because we have a lot of women who have internalized sexism to the extent where they will never understand the struggle. And we have a lot of black people who have internalized racism to the extent where they're blaming their own people for being abused. Now, I don't think that'll happen as much with class. You do have people blaming poor people and saying, oh, well, you should work harder, things like that. But I think it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah. I think that's a great analysis, Curious. I want to address Angry Bastard's comment. Do you agree fascism is capitalism in decay? Sorry, he's quoting Lenin. I'll admit that I never saw that part of any of Lenin's writings, but my take on that would be that it's true, not wholly, but partially. And I would say that where I see what Lenin is talking about, because the more disaffected those who are supposed to be promised of power and status in a society, when they lose it, they often go over to this extreme. I mean, let's face it, those who join the SS, those who join the German Socialist Workers' Party, whatever the fuck they were called, ultimately Hitler's party, these people, or who would later become Hitler's party, these people were disaffected German workers. And all they needed was the doctrine of racism, or rather the doctrine of Nazism, to move forward. Now, and they will believe in a authoritarian state that has race at the forefront, puts class in the back, and that means that they would even sacrifice their own rights as workers. So that makes sense to me. When capitalism, if I'm making sense of this, of that quote, is what it means when they say, is what Lenin may have meant when he said capitalism in crisis is basically fascism. Now, in decay, rather. Now, Menchie says, not wholly angry bastards, but partially, meaning that she partially agrees. We do agree that economy has something to do in all this, which is basically what I was just saying about what happened in Germany. Angry Bastard says, I think you know my answer. Yeah. Oh, I know you agree, Manchi said. Manchi, oh, sorry. Curious says, Manchi's a lot of white supremacists I am seeing are women. They are violently fighting feminism at the same time. It's a nightmare.
Them trad
Manchi's,
waifus.
I'm sorry?
Trad waifus. Lauren Southern, Tara McCarthy, Brittany Pettibone, etc.
Right, yeah, exactly. Menchie says, yes, they're definitely there and they are anti-feminist. Curious says that I'm hearing that what we are seeing now is the death of capitalism. Right. Curious says Menchie's, but these are the kinds of riots that have been occurring since 100 years ago. So, yeah, thank you, Mabase, for bringing that up. The likes of Terry Southern. Now, I have to say that it's interesting. We know that this affected people who believe that they supposedly have a right to privilege, even though they're not rich and powerful, turn to reactionary or this sort of revisionist society of white makes right, might makes right. But then now when we talk about the women, the likes of Terry Southern and everything, oh sorry, Lauren Southern and all those, it's funny because they are looking, I guess, to be part of or to go back to the being broodmares and being in the kitchen. Like, and why would they want that is the question. Like, why would you not want independence
I have
from
I have no clue. For me, sometimes it feels like they don't actually think that any of this is gonna happen. They're just milking these idiots for money so they can
yeah,
jerk them off with tales of mythical traditionalism.
right.
Wait, quote, housewives.
Wait, what now?
Are you asking why women are fighting for the right to be, quote unquote, housewives?
Well,
Yeah,
not necessarily housewives in and of itself, because housewife can mean anything, but basically the traditionalist of the vision that we know of what the housewife used to be.
Well, here's the thing. Women for centuries have been conditioned to see ourselves around the male gaze, right? So if I'm worthy of being bought, oh, well, then I've made it in society. I'm an object. And also, people think, I mean, that's really where women see their value in this society, right? And women also think, oh, I'm doing less. They don't count the labor in the home. And men don't either. They don't count taking care of the children. They don't see it as slavery or as unpaid labor. What it is. A man would never stay at home for free with his kids. I've seen men ask women for money to babysit their own kids.
Right. Yeah. I've heard of that too. Yeah.
that's wow. That's really really scummy.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You know, they birthed them or whatever. But if you want me to watch them, that'll be $50. What?
Could you imagine? And they really honestly think that that's an equal trade, because in the minds of a lot of these guys, they think that that's what women are doing. But it's like, no, you're not giving $50 to your wife to watch your kids. You're giving her $50 to go and feed your kid. Like, shut the hell
Exactly.
up.
And
Like,
even
it's
then, you're
crazy.
just reimbursing her for the money that she fucking spent. You dumbass.
Yeah,
It is
$300 a
unpaid
month. You're
labor.
ruining my life. I'm like, dude, if $300 a month is ruining your life, you had no business having children.
exactly. We need to. You know what? I want to revisit that again in another discussion because I am so sick and tired. This guy named Black Gnostic Speaks. I remember here I was before I began to show my ass in a hangout where he was participating in. He's a reactionary black male. He's part of what was known as the introspective black male of reform movement, which is basically another form of black MGTOW. But the point here is that this motherfucker, at one point we were talking, it was on Big J's channel, and when someone, I think it was Pure Butterfly Spirit, had asked him, another YouTuber had asked him, well, what is the issue exactly with child support? What is your problem with it? And he said something about, well, they're going to get your money. And it's like, but motherfucker, it's money that goes to your kid. It's money that you're not taking care of, that you don't have to deal with at all. Okay?
And you know what? Exactly. And guess what? Let me tell you, why don't we just switch it around so that for 2 days of every 7 days, the woman gets the children and he does all of that driving around, feeding the kids. I mean, and it's not like the woman isn't paying out of pocket herself to take care of the kids. So why not just switch the roles around? If it's so awful and men don't want to pay child support, why don't we make it so that it's women paying? Give us equal pay. Make it so that we are getting paid the same amount as them. I think that women would love that.
Yeah.
Would just love it. Because that's a lot of free labor 5 days of the week to be caring for somebody's child. I think that weekend dads, I think it should be illegal.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, all you're doing is getting the privilege to pet your kids for about 2 days. And that's bullshit.
Exactly. I have a dog in my house. I can't imagine if I could get a situation where I see her or have her during the weekends and I pay like $5.
Exactly.
I don't think I could find anybody who would do that for me. I really don't.
So y'all, I don't know how this hour went by. Either I did something right, or maybe you guys came and helped a huge amount. Mabase, I want to thank you for coming. And Curious, most certainly I want to thank you for coming. Mancheese just basically tore up the fucking chat room. Big J Triple X, but y'all, I gotta really go this time. But thank you all so much. I hope you appreciated this hangout because, and I definitely knew that I wanted to touch on all the things I wanted to touch on because it's mainly really didn't want to spend too much time about the whole issue of the so-called repression of the right and their freedom of speech as much as I really wanted to talk about the reactions of the right after Charlottesville. So if anybody wants another video from me about that, like a follow-up, I think I might do that actually. But this weekend is going to be really bad for me. Big J Triple X did invite me to a hangout of his. But that might be a rough one for me because I know Sunday our kid comes back, or rather we have to go out and pick her up from camp in Pennsylvania. So I don't know about that Saturday night. But I will. But again, I want to thank everybody for real. I do still have some videos coming up, but thank you, Mabasi, for showing up. You know what? While you're here, can you tell me how to pronounce your name?
You did it. It's Mabase.
Okay, God, thank you so much. But thank you for coming. But I'm about to shut down now. Thank you so much, Curious, Mancheese, Big J Triple X, Bewildered Ape. I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope tonight was fun because it was certainly awesome for me. And I will see you all next week. Hang out same time next Thursday. So anybody wants to be involved, I'll let you know on Monday what we'll be talking about or what we're going to go over. And I certainly want to continue the conversation about child support and stuff like that. So maybe not next Thursday, but we'll see. I still owe people chances to come on. And Mabase, you're always welcome to participate. All right, guys. Curious, most certainly. Anybody? Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I will see you all later. This is the Garage Autonomist, and thank you.
See ya.
See you.